Lonely Monk Productions. I don't know if y'all have heard Together by Chance the Rapper and DJ Premier yet, but yo, that's my Jawn! Hey, yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. You're tasting things that don't need to be measured. What's good, friends and family, neighbors near and far? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I am your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. John Batiste, a.k.a. Nate 3.0, back at it again with yet another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. On today's episode, I am joined by Autumn Luz and her co-producer, co-songwriter Samwe for a chat about their latest release, the amazing 5-song EP Fragments. We have such a great chat, and that is coming up in a minute here. But first, what is new, my friends? Hope all is well on your side of the speakers. Things are moving along over here. You know, we've been getting great feedback from everyone on the Too Old, Too New podcast, and I appreciate all of you taking the time to check out another show. I'm having so much fun each week chopping it up over music with my pal Bruce Warren. So if you haven't done so yet, definitely check that one out. You know, 2 weeks ago, I was lucky enough to attend the non-convention for the first time as a participant, as opposed to just a listener. For those of you unfamiliar, the non-convention is an annual gathering of public non-commercial radio music programmers and managers, music industry representatives, and music media from across North America that sets out to uncover the very best in new music from emerging and established artists. Produced and hosted here in Philadelphia by WXPN, NonCom brings all of these music professionals together for a week of panels, networking, and live music. And as I said previously, this was my first NonCom where I was able to take part in the panels and discussions throughout the week. And the through line and theme this year was a focus on digital, which of course is something that has been of great interest to me. And it was fascinating to hear from stations and labels across the country what their approaches to digital are and what's working and what's not. It's a paradigm shift that we're all dealing with in every aspect of the music ecosystem. And to bond over not just the successes, but the struggles, well, it was comforting in knowing that we're not alone in our frustrations and our excitements. Every panel was uniquely informative, ranging from audience trends to how on-air talent and digital can work together. Some of the ones that stood out to me, Alante Malo and Ashley Pointer from NPR Music, held a panel on maximizing your social media impact, which was full of incredible tips on how to create social posts that will effectively get people to engage and not just scroll on by. Jim McGuinn hosted a conversation between program directors and label reps about the decisions behind discovering and deciding on what to play in an oversaturated world that I absolutely thought was illuminating. And to me, there were moments where you could see that the strategies of the labels could butt up against the desire of the stations to bring their audience the music that moves them the most. It was really wonderful. And this may make me a homer to say it, but probably my favorite panel was hosted by Bruce Warren, and it was a discussion about the future of music in a world where generative AI exists. Bruce, with an assist by Kaleo, played a game of Real or AI, playing examples of station bumpers and songs that you had to guess whether it was real or created by AI, and it really showcased both the strengths and limitations of AI in the state that it is in today. But the highlight of that panel to me came during the Q&A when Jordan Lee of Radio Milwaukee pointed out all of the positive uses there are for AI that can help in freeing up time from handling minute tasks that take away from being able to focus on the more important roles in the mission of a station. And of course, as awesome and amazing as the panels were, the live music was absolutely phenomenal. You know, I missed a bunch of the nighttime shows, but I was able to catch Laura Jane Grace, Old 97s, Lizzie No, The Decemberists, and the great Fontaines DC. Just incredible performances all around, and the perfect icing on the cake of being surrounded not just by people who love and enjoy music on a level similar to myself, but also are doing their parts to share and spotlight musicians and their art and share them with others so that they too can enjoy in the art that may otherwise fall through the cracks. You can see some of my pictures from NonCom up on the website. Just visit www.yothat'smyjawn for a link to that, as well as links to merchandise, the mailing list, guest appearances on other pods, and more. And also, while you are there, you can find links to the socials. I'm at YoThat'sMyJawn on all of them, so give it a follow. Let's be friends. All right, enough blabbing. Let's get on with the show. My guests today blur the lines between jazz, rock, pop, R&B, indie rock, and folk. Through unusual chords, rhythms, and structures, the two of them have crafted a sound that has been described as if Fiona Apple and Portishead had a baby. I really love that. Their latest release, Fragments, is a 5-song, darkly cathartic EP that explores the shadowy emotions that continue to haunt childhood trauma survivors well into adulthood and shape their experiences in future relationships. Folks, it is my honor to welcome to the show Autumn Luz and Samwe. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great Autumn Luz and Samwe. Thank you so much for joining me here on Yo, That's My Jawn.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm so excited to meet you and talk with you.
Yeah, I'm super excited because the new EP Fragments just came out. Well, we're in the past for everybody in the future, but just came out on Friday, and it's absolutely incredible. And I just am so excited that we're going to get a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you.
So I always like to start these things in the Wayback Machine and kind of take it back. So, we'll go one by one, but tell me a little bit about growing up. Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in New England. I was born in Boston. I lived in rural Maine for like most of my childhood, and then I got sick of it and sent myself back to Boston to an art school there where I finished high school as a boarding student. So yeah, New England roots for sure. Although I have been in Philly for 13 years now, which is
that
so
counts.
long.
You're one of us. You're full-fledged. Sam, how about you?
Yeah, so I grew up in East Lansing, Michigan, and just a Midwesterner, and came out for school to the East Coast. I've been working in DC, but I come and go to Philly whenever I can because I have a bunch of friends there, including Autumn. I don't count myself as anything but a visitor.
Yeah, definitely not up here often enough.
It's all right. We'll get our hooks in you. We'll get you here. For long term. There's something special though about this kind of Upper East corridor where even when I'm somebody who champions Philly like crazy, but even that, if anybody from DC to Boston kind of starts to go off, I'm like, yeah, it's one of us. You know what I mean? Because there's just that sensibility of kind of the same kind of, workman feeling around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a wonderful area to be in with everything just so close. It's really convenient.
Yeah, and 95 and SEPTA and Amtrak.
Amtrak.
I love an Amtrak ride. I just wish it would go a little better west. I think it goes to Johnstown, but doesn't make it all the way to Pittsburgh. Or I might have been making that up. But anyway. Yeah, I just need more mass transit. I'm a big mass transit fan. I used to write a lot on mass transit. That was my because I didn't get my license till I was 31, and late bloomer.
Yeah. Writing on the train, writing on the L. I have done that. That's the whole vibe.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best, and it's very inspirational. So what kind of music was playing around your house when you were growing up?
So I grew up, I think mostly listening to my dad's stuff. And he's a boomer. He had me when he was old. So his stuff was really wide ranging though. So everything from doo-wop and rockabilly and R&B to 70s folk stuff. But also everything from Latin to jazz to classical. And then I remember rockabilly revival stuff and new wave and kind of art rock type pop rock stuff. The one thing we never had to listen to was like classic rock, which I didn't
Yeah,
even realize like was a thing that everyone else cares about until much later. But I was kind of like, yeah, but actually fine with having missed out on that.
that's incredible. Did he play at all?
Not really. Like he would sometimes pop in with a band or something. He loved it, but he wasn't like, never got really good at it or anything. So he had like a 4 track. Like he would, there's recordings of me at like 5 years old, like singing on the mic. Like, I don't even know what it was. And like we'd play around with stuff like that. Like there's all these silly recordings. And sometimes he would pop in and like play bass at a folk festival for somebody or something, but not like serious or anything.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'll tell you what I tell everybody whenever somebody tells me they have tapes of themselves as young, put it up on Bandcamp and sell it.
Oh my God. I'm trying. So I finally got them. And there's this one of me and my friend Sky at 3 years old in Lynn, Massachusetts. I remember literally sitting on the curb on the street with my little like tape recorder. We're singing Whitney Houston. I believe the children of the future, age 3. And I found the tape. I went through like all the cassette tapes trying to find that one. And as I was playing it, it snapped and I have to like break it
No.
open and get a donor case. And it's been just sitting on my shelf for over a year. But I'm like, if I can get that off of there and like use it as a sample, I don't know. Anyway, if
Definitely.
anyone wants to fix a tape for me, reach out, please, because I
That's
haven't done it.
incredible. Yeah, I recently found a bunch of my old cassettes and I bought a because this is going to come as a surprise, but I as a kid wanted to host a talk show, and and it kind of worked out. I don't know, it's weird.
Congratulations.
Thanks, yeah. Follow your dreams, kids. But I found a bunch of old cassettes that was just like me interviewing like my baby sister when she was like a newborn and stuff like that and I just started digitizing them and it like fills me with so much joy because like you said, like I absolutely remember like recording that, like I can visualize it in my head, and it's wild how like just hearing like a fragment of that immediately like fired off the synapses and all of everything came flooding back.
Well, and child voices are magical too. But I want to hear what Sam grew up listening
Yeah,
to. I don't think I've
do
ever
you have
asked
in the
him that.
house?
Oh yeah, my parents they're old hippies. Always have been, always will be. And yes, we grew up with like Pete Seeger, Arlo Guthrie, all that good stuff. Then of course, like in the last couple of years, I took all their LPs. Right, they were just like take them. They've been sitting here for 30 years. And went through them. I was like, oh, actually, you guys listened to Saturday Night Fever. Like you guys had all these other LPs. You just didn't play them for me, right? Like you were probably playing them after I was asleep or something. You just made me
Uh,
listen to the folk music.
It's so funny you say that because like I have acquired my dad's record collection, and like I got it before he had passed away, and quite similar. Like I like going through it, like all of the things from my childhood that I remember. So like my dad was big into Toots and the Maytals. He loved Harry Nilsson, loved Motown and stuff like that. But then like I'm like, you had Tom Waits? Since when? Like, you know what I mean? Like, wait a minute now, because he's a guy who like he was always big, especially towards the back half of his life, where like when I was out playing music and stuff, he'd be like, "Why do you always play like sad shit?" He's like, "Can't you just like be happy?" And I'm like, "No, I can't. If I could, I would, but." I wish you didn't put me in therapy, but anyway, but then I found all the sad shit that he used to listen to like secretly. So like it was like his
it's
own
so funny.
personal collection. Did anybody in your family play, Sam?
No, no, my father was like, oh, you know what, we're going to take, when I was 8, he was like, we're going to take piano lessons together, right? Like, just come along. It was an absolute bait and switch, right? Where he's just like, after 6 weeks, he's like, so I'm good. And you're going to keep taking piano lessons. But no, that was it. That was it.
That's incredible.
Otherwise, yeah.
So was that
Yeah,
the first instrument for you, piano?
yeah, that's where I started.
And Autumn, what about you? What was your first instrument?
Voice.
Yeah.
I didn't start trying to learn piano until later. I didn't have access to a piano really. Yeah, until a lot later.
Okay. Did I see dance in your background as well? Right.
Yeah. So when I went away to art school, I was a dance major. I was a ballet major at this weird little like prestigious art school outside Boston. And what was funny about that time was like a lot of my friends, like the most like hardcore students there were the music majors and the dance majors. Of course, I think a lot of art schools are like, those are the students who are just like working constantly and like working themselves raw. So a lot of my friends are music majors. And that was the first time I think I started running in circles of like really serious musicians and just sort of like, I don't know, listening to everything they talked about and picking up on like all sorts of stuff that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. And that was the first place that I had access to real acoustic pianos because I would sneak into the practice rooms with my Fiona Apple songbook and my like Johann Sebastian Bach score and start trying to teach myself how to like read music, which I never really, I'm still not, I would mostly like play by ear. But anyway, yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah, I like it's funny, like those early kind of whenever you can get a chance, like that was me with a guitar. I was a theater major, and I was in a musical called Something in the Air Feels Like Tomorrow. I think that's what it was called. I can't remember. It was not a good. It was like a kids don't do drugs kind of musical, and I played the guy who did drugs, which is like weird because like that I got cast like that a bunch, and like looking back, I'm like, is it because I had like a dark skin? But anyway, and I know the answer to that. but hey, look, it was the '90s. It's fine. We're over it. But I played this character who also like he also was a loner who played guitar. So like I said, I remember saying to like the director, like, to be in character and to really feel like I play guitar, I should probably take this home with me to rehearse. And so, and
yeah, you can start sneaking that stuff in there. I think the first time I ever really sang solos was also after I went to art school on like the dance stage. Because I was singing with an a cappella group there. That was when I first started like doing a cappella stuff. And I don't know, my friends, like we would sing in the dorms and shit. Like they knew I could sing. And so one of them choreographed a piece and put me in it. And I remember singing like something from the Natural Born Killers soundtrack. In the middle of her dance piece, like it was like this crazy, like one of these, like you go off stage and they hand you a mic and you come back on and like you do the thing and then you go off and then we were dancing again. Sorry, I'm just hitting my mic. But yeah, that was like where that all started, really.
That sounds incredible.
But you can do that in an art school where there's like all kinds of stuff everywhere, right? You can just kind of slide. They used to joke like stick to your major, but like you didn't really have to.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Do you think there's video that exists of this Natural Born Killers thing? Because that sounds incredible.
I do believe there's like a VHC or something of it somewhere. It also
amazing.
involved duct tape halter tops. Art school is so much fun.
It sounds incredible. It sounds absolutely incredible. Speaking of singing, did you like before art school? Were you singing like in high school and stuff like that, choir and?
I was like, I mean, I grew up like singing around the house, like, but no, I didn't. I think I joined school choir like my sophomore year.
Okay.
And then I went to art school and it was like, only the music majors are in choir, so I did a cappella. But yeah, I remember being terrified. I joined choir my sophomore year, and it was like this school. I went to 3 different high schools. That was the second one, and had a really great arts program. Like they had like it was just a really rich town, and that I didn't live in, and they had 2 choirs. They had like the basic one and then they had like the good one. And for some reason they put me in the good one, but I didn't know how to read music or anything and was like terrified. But it was fine. Yeah. And I'm glad I did it. I started learning really quickly. Like
I like the humble flex of for some reason they put me in the good one. I don't know.
Well, I think I remember signing up for classes and my dad took me under register and he was like, listen, I don't know. My dad has not supported me in a whole lot, but since I was born, he was like, this one needs to sing. She came out screaming and they could hear her all the way across the hospital. And tell that so it's at sound tech now because no one can ever hear me when I'm on stage. But that's the one thing he's always felt strongly about was like, you should be singing. So yeah, he was like, just put her in there. Trust me, she'll be fine.
That's awesome to have that kind of behind you though. Like that kind of support and belief.
Yeah.
Like,
now that I'm doing it, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Sam, you started on piano. Did you stick with piano? Did you,
Yeah. No, I didn't have any choice. Stuck with it, stuck with it through high school. But at some point I was 12 and I was just like, man, my buddies are just like, we need to play guitars. Like it's time.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've heard what this can do for us. We need to make this happen. And my parents were like, yeah, if you stick with piano, we will buy you a $90 used guitar at the flea market. Like we can do that. Which they did. And yeah, I did then, focus most of my energy there and like kept the piano going simply as some sort of prereq for earning my next amp or whatever piece of gear I needed next.
Yeah. So you playing with your friends, did you guys have like a band or anything
Oh yeah. That was the most important thing was being in a band and, like having, we were playing Guns N' Roses, we were playing Metallica, like all kinds of stuff that, in retrospect, I'm like, well, at least I didn't have to listen to us playing it. At least that was stage. But we were doing our 13-year-old thing.
So here's the question I always love to ask is whose house was the rehearsal space and whose parents were the most patient people on the planet?
Oh yeah. No, the lead guitar, I was not the lead guitarist. The lead guitarist's parents were pretty elderly, and so we got away with everything in their basement.
It's awesome.
Thank God for that.
I always say behind every high school band, there is a beautifully patient set of parents that whether they're in your corner or not, they were in your corner just by giving you the space.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're at art school, Autumn, and you're kind of playing around on whatever piano you can touch and stuff like that. Were you writing anything yet, or?
No, I grew up writing like poetry and crap like that. And I didn't write music until a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is because and this comes with the half-ass research that I do is that coming out of the kind of dance focus and then kind of pivoting to art administration. Is that right? Am I getting that right?
I did. Yeah.
Finding kind of the music and stuff like that. Like, what was it that kind of clicked that you were like, oh, this is the thing, like not the other thing I was also good at.
I think I secretly all along was just drawn to the music.
Yeah.
And just whether I was dancing to it or whatever, that was the thing that was a really important outlet for me. And it just took me a really long time to find my voice literally with that. And I remember pivoting to arts administration at the same time that I did that. I started to realize I went to college for biology. I worked in a research lab as an undergrad. And I remember I'd be at work, but updating my ballet company's website and then exhausted and going from a cappella group rehearsal to choral rehearsal and still wanting to just be working on music after that. And it just dawned on me that the lab certainly wasn't paying me to be doing anything other than washing glassware and running gels, but what I really wanted to do was somewhere between those two things. So I kind of stopped dancing around then. I had been directing a ballet company on campus, and I started. I auditioned for one band, but wasn't ready, and it was too much of a mess also. But at that point, I had kind of realized whatever it is that I want to be doing is in this space that it's close to music, and I just had to kind of regroup for a really long time before I could get to a place where I was oh, right, this is what I want to be doing. And I did start when I moved back to Boston in 2006. I started singing with a choral group there, and realized I don't think classical is where I want to be.
Yeah.
It just took a really long time it took basically the pandemic for me to get to the point where I'm oh, suddenly there's space in my life to take my first vocal lesson and see what I might be able to do and get some coaching that is about singing that's not classical. and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, when you were doing like the classical, and then previous to that the acapella and stuff like that, what were you listening to though? Like I get that the performance wasn't really pulling you in, but like what were you artistically kind of drawn to?
I mean, I think like the biggest answer is Fiona Apple, like from her first album all the way like up through her most recent, like that's always been, and like in the a cappella groups and like in the stuff that people would ask me to sing solos on, it was always like, oh, you have this like super wide range. You can hit the low notes, you can do the soulful stuff. And so I would get put on like that kind of stuff. But then also asked to sing like, second soprano sometimes or whatever, because I could, which is like one of the things I appreciate about her range. But yeah, I mean, I listened to a lot of stuff like around the time Fiona Apple first came out, Garbage, the Cardigans. Like I really got into alt rock, but also like Luscious Jackson and Lauryn Hill and the jazz, like a little bit of Ella Fitzgerald, and like was just kind of spinning around that space. And I think that's why like Fiona Apple always kind of spoke to me so much, because she's firmly in that like somewhere between like a bluesy, jazzy and an alt rock, type of thing. And that's where I love to be.
Yeah, she is really like a perfect nucleus of like everything you just named. Like she is like kind of the North Star to that. I'm gonna throw this out there to you. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. You mentioned Luscious Jackson, and any chance anybody mentions Luscious Jackson, I have to bring this up. Have you ever heard the album Classics with a K by the Co-Stars?
No.
Okay, so it's Jill and Viv from Luscious Jackson, and it's a side project they did, and it's they released one album, Classics with a K, and it's on Grand Royal Records, which was the Beastie Boys label, and it is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's absolutely incredible, and I think stylistically, I think you'll really, really dig it.
I will definitely check it out. I'm not sure I've heard that before. Thank you.
Yeah. That's like any chance I get. And like, it's one of those things, like when I found, Discogs and found like, buying vinyl, through the internet, like used vinyl through the internet, which was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me and the best thing. I was like, well, now I need to buy the 7-inch single, and now I need to own and so now everything's complete: CD, vinyl, 7-inch. But anyway, I digress. It's ADD. It sends me everywhere. I apologize. Sam, so you went from, you guys were playing like Metallica and Guns N' Roses and stuff like that. When did you start like kind of writing your own stuff?
Oh yeah, that was years later. This was probably 10 years ago. I was kind of bouncing around. I was living internationally, and just like listening to whatever I could, get my hands on, sort of, whether it was on the internet or whether it was just, sort of trying to catch live shows. I was living in West Africa and sort of trying to absorb a lot of desert blues that they were doing down there. And, and a lot of African music was influencing what I was doing at that point. Just started to write stuff, and a lot of it, like, it kind of circles around those newer influences that are, that you're excited about, but it comes back to the stuff that you really grew up with. Right. And so it kept coming back to things that were, 90s rock and grunge. And then also just growing up in Michigan, like some of that Motown sound, like coming back to that. And, then I was trying to write my own stuff, and it was fun. It was a good time, but I was kind of bouncing around and just enjoying meeting different musicians and getting to understand like how big the world was, which, it was a fantastic couple of years. But I wasn't being particularly productive, until I got a call from Autumn, a few years later.
That's not true. You had already done your LP at that point. Were hiding it.
Oh yeah, calling that an LP it's a series of songs that are all in the same place on the internet.
It turns out that's all an album is.
I was just going to say, you just described an album. But that's a perfect segue. Like, what brought you guys together? I guess did it start friendship wise, or did it start creatively?
So Sam played in college in a band with my ex-husband, who I'm still great friends with, who still plays in my band. And yeah, during the pandemic, I guess, Saran said like, "Oh, did you know Sam made an album?" And then like I listened to it and was like, "This is good." Like what? And then yeah, I don't know. We were all just sitting in our houses at that point on Zoom, you know. It was like, well, I don't know, let's try stuff. And it's funny now, like I don't think either of us has said the word Motown between today and like way back when we had that first conversation about like, I don't know, let's try like a cover together. And we were like, well, what do you like? And like, what are you vibing with right now? And like the Black Pumas had just started putting stuff out and like yeah, I don't know what Sam was. We made some weird stuff when we first started. But I think like hearing now, like where our influences, you know, align. Like I knew that if Sam liked the music that Saran liked, and you know, we're all kind of the same generation with that appreciation for alt rock and all that, that like something good was going to fall out of it. And I think we're just getting to the point now where like we really have found the sweet spot.
You mentioned Zoom, which of course we're on right now as well. But what's it like creating over kind of a digital landscape essentially? Like I know it's so much easier now because you know everything can be done in real time and stuff like that. But there's still like that kind of mechanical in between because one of the things that I feel is that like you would never guess that that this was kind of put together that way because it does feel very warm and together. Like it does feel connected. It doesn't feel distant. There isn't kind of disparate parts where you can hear like, oh, I can tell this was tracked completely different than tracking this and stuff like that. But so what was that kind of creative process like? Was it immediately easy or was there any challenge to it?
That's crazy to hear, Nate, because I have been complaining about how much I want the next project to sound even more. Like I want everybody in a room together. Um, so thank you for saying that. Yeah, I think, there's like upsides and downsides to the remote thing. And we've like almost exclusively worked that way, Sam and me. It's, it can be great. Like I love it when I get an email and I'm like, like right now I'm sitting on 3 new arrangements from Sam that I haven't listened to yet. And I get so excited. It's like just as exciting as if I was in the room, but it's also a little more efficient because like I didn't have to sit there for however many hours it took him to like figure it all out. But the whole time we've been working together, every once in a while, one or both of us is like, man, like, when you're in the room together, you can like try stuff. And like, I think there was only been like one time ever that Sam was in town and we actually sat down and worked on a song. And I love that voice memo of punk rock bone marrow. That was really, really cool. We ended up going a completely different direction with production work, which I think like working remotely, you have a lot more space and a lot more room to just kind of go off by yourself and think really hard and try 200 things. And then just put like one email in front of somebody, which I don't know if is that good or bad. It's just a way of doing it. But yeah, we'll see.
Is there a map? No, I mean, like, I don't mean like a dedicated map that you stray not from ever, but like, is there kind of does one of you come up with kind of the, an idea and then kind of pass it along, or is it kind of more collaborative in the beginning and then go work on your parts and kind of here, let's see what we got together, or?
And these are her songs. These are Autumn songs. She puts them together, usually almost always just vocal and piano, and sends me that. And then I kind of pick it apart, right? Like pull things out of it, think about, how the chords work together and what else could be added to it. And, I just lay stuff on top of it basically. And so and then, send it back to her and then she gives her feedback and moves other stuff around. And it ends up at that point, it starts going back and forth, but, and can change a lot, but it starts with her. It's her words, it's her melody, generally her chord progression. So, and then I just try to expand it, sometimes expand it beyond what it can sustain, right? Like 20 guitar tracks. She scales me back at times.
There's nothing wrong with throwing a gazillion things on there and then editing editing them back to exactly what you want it to be, which I think is Sam's favorite approach.
Yeah. Here's a random question to think about, and we'll include speed and heat in this as well with the EP. What song do you think most resembles the core of what you originally created, Autumn? And then which one do you think Sam blew up the most and is completely different?
Such a great question. I am still like shocked and trying to understand every time something I write, like every time a keys part, like I don't even write a lot of keys parts. I crank out a lot of demos, and a lot of them are just chords. Sometimes I write actual piano patterns, and sometimes sometimes even the chords on the keys will stay in Sam's arrangement. Like he'll send it back to me and I'll be like, that's still there. Like you didn't toss that and replace it with. So I'm shocked every time that happens. I mean, nothing, I don't know, like Sam turns them into rock songs, like none of them are that when I send them to him. But I think of King of Promises and Heat are the two where like I played some stuff on the piano and it stayed in the final version of the song. Somehow. Yeah, there have been other times that's happened a little bit, but in those two, it's like the crux of the song is like my original keys parts. The ones that's the most different, I don't know. Sam, do you have any idea which one?
I mean, Bone Marrow is simple, but it's basically me like making noises with a guitar. So I don't know. That might be the most, although the simplest chord, in terms of the progression, like, yeah, that's probably the most different.
Yeah.
I would think.
That's awesome. You had the two singles before, and then you worked on putting together fragments. And I've read leading into it that there were 30 to 40 tracks kind of going into this process and this project ahead of time, somewhere around there. Did you have an idea or a focus of like, I want something concise like an EP, or was there at a point where you were like, maybe a full length?
Dude, there's a lot of reasons why I titled this Fragments and it worked. And one of them was just like random. These happened to be the 5 songs we made before. I was like, well, time to put something out. Let's wrap it. I was like, I think I can like tie together this completely disparate collection of songs, which, they don't have nothing in common. I did write them all within about a year of each other, I think. But yeah, like Sam and I don't know, we tried one song and then we tried another, we put out the 2 singles, and like our process has just been, I write a bunch of stuff and make a ton of demos. And then I'm like, Sam, are any of these like, do you want to do anything with them? And then he picks the ones where he's like, these, I feel like I want to do something with. I think I posted my 50th demo on SoundCloud. Should I even say that publicly? Like, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, and was like, whoa, because there's a lot that I still haven't even demoed. Like I have 4 songs right now that I'm like, can't wait to demo now that I'm past this show and like able to work on stuff that's not the set list. But yeah, our process has always been like Sam listening to stuff and being like, I want to work on these. And maybe now maybe I'm going to move beyond that a little bit because I am still writing so much and I'm starting to figure out how to maybe other ways to figure out if a song is good other than just having Sam be like, yeah, I want to work on this one. Maybe Sam's told me enough times that like a lot of them are actually good. And I don't know. But yeah, there's no shortage of material. And I'm looking forward to, well, I think the next project might also be kind of just a collection of the stuff Sam wanted to work on. But there's a concept album in my future and it'll come out eventually as well.
Well, that excites me. Like, I like the sound of that. I've recently been having a very long conversation, and this is going on like multiple seasons of this show, that started with me confused that people release so many EPs now, EPs and singles and stuff like that. And it was like the old guy yelling at a cloud for the longest time, like, does nobody believe in the album anymore? And then now, like, I've now just become overloaded with content to the point where I'm just like, can I get like a good 5-song EP out of you? And then just give me something more, frequent, less spaced out. But like, I consider myself a Taylor Swift fan, but I don't really have time for 31 songs in my life. Like break it up.
Yeah.
Give me at least Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I don't know what we're doing, but yes. But no, so like I'm all about the EP idea or even like the single release idea. I know these were just kind of fragmented and you mentioned the concept album idea, but like, do you give any thought to this, like on what the release kind of process would be, or is it just like, these are ready, let's go?
My MBA brain can turn on a little bit and make some decisions. But at the end of the day, it's like, Sam and me talking the other night, and he said something about like a song of ours was like long. And I was like, wait, are you blaming me for that? Like, didn't you make it? He always makes it longer. Not that I don't write long stuff, but like, also neither of us cares. Like, I get that I'm supposed to. And like, I think I'm doing an okay job of like not making stuff too long. And I think I'm just not a person who's likely to like, I don't need to ever listen to myself for a super long amount of time. Like that's not a tendency I'm probably going to fall into even with an LP. Like, it's more like, gee, it would be nice to have an LP. I feel like I should do that next. And hey, guess what? It looks like we actually somehow have 7 or 8 arrangements done. Great. That's it. Like, that's all you need. Once you reach the bar of like, yep, I could call this an EP or I could call this an LP. Like, oh, and it happens to be like done in time to like get it recorded before, whatever. Like, I don't know.
So we're coming back to the idea of like, it's a bunch of songs that just happen to be in the same place at the same time.
Yeah. Which is cool though. Like that's like, and that's to me, that is how art should kind of be enjoyed, is just like, hey, let's share this time, and I kind of said this on an episode a few weeks back, but like, I now kind of treat, albums and stuff like that, like I treat concerts or like festivals. So like, it's like sometimes I spend a lot of time with a band at a festival stage and I'm never going to really ever research them or anything, but I really enjoyed my time with them. And I should be happy with that. Like I shouldn't, keep searching for the next Sergeant Pepper or something like that, because like if I'm always going to be looking for it, I'm just going to constantly be disappointed in things. And whereas this way something might just surprise me, and like I'm going to be 1,000% honest, and this is not me blowing smoke. Like Pang really excited me. Like it really kind of, because I don't know. Are you familiar? It kind of fits in that wheelhouse as well. With Petra Haden. She was a member of That Dog. And they were like a 90s alt rock band. But Petra Haden released this album called Imaginary Land, and it's all she does all of the music vocally. And it's just vocal overdubs throughout the entire thing. So like as Pang starts, I'm just like, bing. I'm like, oh, this is something I absolutely am paying all attention to right in this moment. So, what was the kind of process behind that? Like, where did that idea come from?
I guess I could kind of put that. Well, no, I wouldn't put that on the list of like stuff that didn't sound all that different after Sam was done with it, because Sam took it, oh my God, so far. But literally, I remember being in my studio, and I still catch myself doing this. Sometimes I'll just be like, and I just was like, like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm gonna record this. And then once I get a groove to like top line, it's pretty easy for me to top line on it. And it just, I don't know, it just came out like that. It just came out like that. And I was like, it needs something other than my voice. So I put like organ on it. And I sent it to Sam with like, I had like a kick and organ and my vocals. And Sam was like, great, but ditch the keys and turn that into vocal stuff, which was like the craziest process, which is why Sam's voice is on that one song. actually. It was because I was like, okay, I can try to do that. It's super time consuming and crazy. And also I can't reach a lot of those notes. So you're gonna have to and yeah.
That's amazing. That's like see like I am drawn to collaboration, and like I could sense it. Like I could feel it in that track. But yeah, like and then like once the instrumentation kicks in and all, like it just oh, that song soars. Like I absolutely love it.
Yeah, me too. Sam did a great job with it. And I will admit that it was the very last one that we put together, that was like done in time to get on the EP. And I feel like that has been the jumping off point for a lot that we've been working on since then. So I know it's like way too early to talk about the next project we haven't even recorded yet. But like, if you like that, I hope people stick around because there's more where that came from.
That's awesome. One of the other things that I absolutely love is it seems you, like I, am a fan of the music video, which, you know, people keep trying to tell me isn't a thing anymore. And I'm like, you're just not looking in the right places. So here's a question. And you know, there's a lot of good like movement in the video and stuff. Have you thought about doing a ballet video?
Oh, well, yeah. I always want to choreograph everything. I was a choreographer like probably more than I was a dancer. Um, but I couldn't at this point in my life. I don't know if somebody else wants to choreograph, that would be awesome. Because yeah, having gone the full circle from like, wow, I'm gonna do a big narrative music video to like, wow, that was expensive and sucked to like, I'm just gonna pull stuff out of my butt. I finally got one that doesn't even have my face in it. That's great. That's all I want in life. Like, yeah, if I can find a way to like have good videos where I don't have to have my face in them, because I can't dance anymore. No.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm telling you, the videos are awesome. Like it's really weird to me that like we kind of moved away from that because it seems like videos would be prime in a TikTok short reel kind of landscape. Yet, and I do absolutely understand the expense of them, but like it's weird to me that you don't see more of them anymore.
Yeah, it's a weird, I mean, having chopped them all up for social media, like the one that was hardest to get, but they just hate that on TikTok. What they want to see is me lip syncing, looking sexy. Um, but like chunks of a narrative music video or chunks of anything else that came from a music video, nobody cares about. And so if all they want is lip syncing, like you don't even need to make a video for that.
Yeah.
Like a full video. You can just like lip sync to your phone and
It's very disheartening. I'll tell you what. I recently shared a short on YouTube that I just kind of didn't even like give it a second thought, right? And it did astronomical views more than any other short that I put actual hard work into. And at that point, and like not even like I didn't even like spend any time on the description. It was just like, no, it's the 1 year anniversary of me performing this. Like essentially was it. And so like if you asked me what my thoughts are on what hits and what doesn't on social media, like I can tell you the things that trend, but I can't tell you how to recapture it, and I don't understand it.
It changes all the time, and we have little control over it. But the thing that's done the best organically ever on TikTok, I think, was a clip of Sam playing guitar. Probably the only clip of Sam playing guitar in a music video way back when we did the mashup, and it was superimposed. It was footage of Sam in Bogota that we superimposed over these rainbow steps at this building over behind Union Transfer, and everybody loved that. Yeah,
it's interesting. It's really interesting.
So I think I need more of that, Sam, if you don't mind.
All right, I didn't even know it had been doing so well. It's good.
Yeah, that was the best.
This is the hole that I live in, where I just receive emails like an old person.
I once read some guy say that his TikToks and his reels and his shorts, what he does is he's purposefully wrong about things because of the engagement of people correcting him, and that really broke my heart also.
Yeah, that's painful to hear.
So what is the plan with the EP? Like are you're already talking about the next stuff, but are you kind of planning on kind of any more videos or any more like kind of single release from it, or it was this kind of the culmination of that project, do you feel?
Yeah, I would like to be done now. I I promise to keep talking about it for another month, but this was like a 8-month release cycle. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't like promo work. Like I don't. That was a long time to be constantly promoting single after single. And then what happened was we extended. Originally, we were going to have the EP come out like a month earlier than it did. So it just was a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you guys start the process of this one?
Oh, it was so long. I mean, because I think we used to work a lot more slowly than we do now. Like when we did, I mean, Shadow Man was like the first song we ever worked on together, and it was like the last one to come together because it was the weirdest thing I've written, and it was just all of it was weird, and we didn't really know what direction to go in with it. But like, I think I wrote Shadow Man like 2 years ago, um, and I think I wrote like Sweet Nothing and Pang like a year and a half, actually. Yeah, probably like a year and a half ago. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, most of the production work was last spring and summer. I remember saying like, "Oh yeah, we'll be done recording in like March 2023," and I think we were wrapping the masters in like I don't remember last fall. I went on like a 3-month timpani search. Uh, yeah,
What
and the live cello took a really long time too.
what exactly does a search for the right timpani look like?
Like, it's not the right timpani name. It's literally any timpani.
Oh, any?
I decided we needed it, and I was just like, you can find it. How hard could it be?
I wasn't gonna disagree with that. It sounds so good. Sam tried to put it on another song, one of these ones that's like for the next project. And I was like, Sam, I don't know if we can do that again. Like, I don't know if we're allowed to.
We'll be you'll be the timpani lady for the rest of your life.
I feel a TikTok coming on. Yeah. So you said you've already kind of started, demoing what's next and stuff like that. Is there a plan to kind of start going into the studio to kind of work on it, or are you already doing so?
Yeah, we're nailing that down right now. I mean, yeah, Sam's got like a bunch of arrangements done, and we're talking about how to get the recording done and how, who else to pull in for it. Because hopefully we can do it in person if I go down to Virginia and get some people in the room, but we haven't even started like trying to play that out yet. So I don't know. Hopefully we'll start something in May.
Yeah. You did the work on Fragments at Milk Boy with Sam Rosen. Are you continuing that relationship or?
Oh, I don't know. I hope so. I was talking to her at my show on Friday because she played, and it was so great. And she was like, "Yeah, how's stuff going?" And I was like, "Yeah, Sam and I are talking about recording in the next project." And I was like, "I might be recording down in Virginia." And I said, "I started researching studios down there." I think I can say this publicly, but like, started researching studios down there. And I was telling Sam Rosen, like, I forgot that like none of these studios have female engineers on staff, and I forgot like how spoiled I was like working with you up here in Philly because like that's not a thing.
Yeah,
it turns out like most places. Yeah, I love her. I don't know. You might find me like asking studios if I'm allowed to bring my own engineer, but yeah, we're like not even there yet. We got to figure out who the musicians are and what it sounds like, and then we'll figure out.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the show that just happened. What does the live version of this look like? Like what do you put together for the live show?
Well, I got really lucky to find a drummer who loves playing samples and brought timpani samples. So that was awesome. other than that, there's a huge difference between Sam's like 9 guitar arrangement and what happens on stage with 1 to 2 guitars. Um, but I think we kind of pulled it off. Yeah, I mean, Sam's arrangements are just good. And like, I don't know, these songs, if Sam can hear something in a demo that's just piano and vocal and then makes it sound amazing with this like full arrangement, like it shakes out to like being good enough on stage, I think. I don't know, what do you think, Sam, listening to the stage
I mean,
versions of
drums, bass, guitar, keys. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need.
It's rock and roll right there. Yeah.
That's rock and roll.
That's awesome. At this time, you want to try some of this Jauntlet questionnaire? These are the questions that I ask every guest who finds their way in front of my routine. And it starts with the one-hit wonders and one-hit wonder in name only. And you're just picking favorites, and we'll go in order. We'll go Autumn, Sam. We'll keep that going. Number 1, Billy Joel or Elton John? Who do you prefer?
I'm gonna answer these based on who I've listened to more or like feel more of a camaraderie with. I'm gonna say Elton John.
Okay.
That's what I grew up listening to.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Sam. Okay.
Yeah,
say.
John.
I like it. I always, whenever I have a group on, I always worry that I'm going to split the band up on one of these questions one of the times,
We should tally like how many we agree on and how many we don't.
Yeah, and then arm wrestle over the others. Number 2, Debbie Harry or Joan Jett?
Debbie Harry.
Joan Jett.
Oh, it starts. But also, these are legends. There are no wrong answers, except for one. I always say there's one that there is a wrong answer, but I'm not going to tell you which one. I'll just secretly judge you if you pick it wrong. You guys are great. No, you'll see it in my face. Don't worry, because it happens all the time, and it's a me thing. It's not an anybody else thing. So don't even sweat it. Now that I just put all that pressure out there, number 3, Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
Aretha.
Good answer. That's my family feud. The next one, Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana.
It's better to burn out than to fade away, right? You gotta go with Nirvana.
See, that was the one. Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
That's so dark, Sam. Like,
he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I'm suddenly really worried about.
I don't know if you heard Dark Matter, but it's no 10. Anyway, so sorry, but it's true. Next one, Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
Stevie.
Janis.
Oh, okay. I like it. The big cliche, the Beatles or the Stones?
Beatles.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Doing good. And the last of the one-hit wonders, Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Nate, I spent like 15 minutes on this question preparing for this interview today. But I grew up listening to Queen, and my a cappella group in college used to do Bohemian Rhapsody. And I mean, the vocal harmonies, like how could I was in an a cappella group, how could I not pick Bohemian Rhapsody? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Same.
I don't know. I don't know what you're spending 15 minutes on here.
I couldn't remember what they sounded like. What Stairway to Heaven is like. I put Stairway to Heaven as a whole. First of all, they're each 7 minutes long. So like I just listened to each of them. 15 minutes of
listening to the 2 songs.
Yeah.
The frequent listeners of this show will know this, but for anybody who doesn't, I recently had Paul Myers on the show, who is Mike Myers' older brother. Paul let us know while we were doing the Jauntlet that I was like, I kind of feel like this question you have a part in. And he was like, yeah, he's like, both of those things in Wayne's World were taken straight from my life. And so I got to ask him which one. And then he told me he hated me because it was very hard for him to pick, and he bounced back and forth. So he was somebody who took 15 minutes as well. So you're in good company being unable to decide.
It's the chord progression in Stairway to Heaven. I mean, I could do without like the recorders. There's something lyrically very interesting going on too. But the geez, like I listened to it, and I mean, I have for the first time in decades listened to it today and was like, I need to sit down at the piano and take a look at this, because I don't know. I've never played that song. I don't know what the chords are, but like something in there just feels gut wrenching.
Yeah, I tried inverting it once because I was trying to make a composition entitled "Escalator to Hell," and it just didn't hit. It didn't really hit the same.
I love that you tried that though. You got to just try that stuff sometimes. You never know.
That's right, because it might stick, and you never. Yeah, it's like you said, you never know. The next section is the top 10 countdown. Of course, we use Jawn in this section to be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be music. It can be anything in the world. The first one, number 1. What was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with? Autumn, we'll start with you.
I prepared answers to this. I forgot what they were. Oh, I think I skipped that one. That's why I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just going to say...
Just to check the notebook. The arts administration.
Well, I think a lot of these, my answer is Fiona Apple, because I did like think just musically. But I think Fiona Apple because I remember it being the first album that I was super, super into, that like my friends were like, about. And like, I didn't care that they were like, I mean, I never care when anyone's like, doesn't agree with me. But like... I was like, no, this is like, I don't care if it's just me that's into this. I'm super into it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think that's one of the few positives of the growth of the internet is like no longer feeling alone when you find things like that, you know, because like, I remember those times like in high school when it was like, oh, you don't like the same thing I do, and I'm the only one, but we like everything else the same. But where do I get to hang out with somebody who likes that? And then next thing you know, you're on a message board for with other Kevin Smith fans. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, something like that. And then 30 some years later, you're still on that same message board, and you've seen people get married and have kids, and life is weird. But yeah, the internet can be good sometimes. Sam, what was your first obsession?
Not going to be nearly as cool. Cassette of Born in the USA that was just in our car, in our station wagon all the time.
That's incredible.
I could not get enough of it.
It's an incredible album. Like still to this day, like whenever someone tells me they don't like Bruce Springsteen, I go, you probably haven't listened to Born to Run though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's not even like I'm an enormous Bruce Springsteen fan either. Like I'm kind of like up to Born in the USA, and then everything else I'm just like, whatever. But yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. You gotta hear Jungle Land before you tell me you don't like Bruce Springsteen. Like, number 2, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
For me, it feels like a toss up between Black Pumas and Blonde Shell, which, yeah, I think.
I am super excited for the Exponential Music Festival because I'm finally going to be able to see Blonde Shell and Bully, and I'm hoping that they do that new single together because it's absolutely killer.
Yeah, love it all.
Sam, what's your current Jawn?
I'm going to go with Mdu Mokhtar, the guitarist. If you know those guys, he's just amazing. Just West African desert blues stuff, but like supercharged. Like they just take it to a whole new level. And it definitely calls back to like 70s classic rock guitar solos, but I don't care.
It's incredible. I gotta check that out. Have you ever heard of the band The Funkies? Check them out. They are, I want to say, Nigerian, and it's from like I think late 70s, early 80s. And it just rips. And they spell the Funkies like the monkeys spell the monkeys. So like two E's. They're incredible, absolutely incredible. And it was one of those finds when you're on like a YouTube rabbit hole, and then all of a sudden something like auto plays, and you're like, "What the hell is this?" Like, those great moments, and then next thing you know, you're on Discogs trying to track down out of print vinyl. I have a problem. I've mentioned it now twice. Number 3, what was your first concert? What was the first live show you saw?
The first like real like popular band concert I went to, I think it was in college. Fuel came to campus for some kind of festival, and I was like right up by the stage. I went to a very small school. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's cool. Sam?
So this was long before college, but from like, so in 1987, the state of Michigan had its sesquicentennial, its 150th anniversary, and they started running something called the Michigan Festival, which they ran for about 10 years before they just had no more money for it, I guess, or the legislature killed it or something. But like, they would just have these shows up in Lansing that like all these folks, this is like late 80s to late 90s. So like all these folks from Motown were kind of at their low point probably in their careers, and would just drive up and do these shows that you could go to essentially for free. And this is a long way to say, I think it was the Temptations in the late 80s.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Like the Four Tops came, Smokey came, Aretha came. It was crazy.
Oh my God.
That's like a gift. That's like an absolute blessing. I love that.
Nice.
The number 4, what was your last concert? What was the last live show you saw?
The last show I went to that was not my own show, which was great. Boy Wonder and Samurai Bread were great. But if you don't count that one, I saw Kiltro at Johnny Brenda's. Kiltro is great. If anyone doesn't know Kiltro, go listen to them. They're great.
That's awesome. Adding it to the list. Sam, how about yourself?
This is sad. I mean, I went to the Autumn Loose show and didn't play. So does that count?
I think it counts. It kind of
No,
counts.
And Samurai Bread as well. I was in the audience.
It feels like it counts, doesn't it?
I think it
No,
does.
he's part of the no.
If not counting that, what would it be?
See, this is the problem, is I'm not going to come up with anything good.
It doesn't have to have been good.
Yeah.
The last one that sticks with me is Bombino. It's another guitarist.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
I see. I'm following your sensibilities. I'm with it. Number 5, what was your favorite concert? Was the best live show you ever saw?
I struggle to answer this one because I feel like how much you like the venue matters a lot, and your experience at the venue. And
Absolutely.
like, there's not a lot of good left with that. And also recency bias. I'm just going to say Black Pumas at the Fillmore was like perfect. They kicked off their tour in Philly. So like,
yeah, I've heard
perfect.
nothing but incredible things about that show. Like I heard it was just absolutely incredible.
It was perfect.
Sam, favorite concert?
So this is going to sound like I'm bragging again about growing up in mid-Michigan, but Patti Smith used to come through to like support her like Tibetan monk who I don't know if she worked with or something. Anyway, a couple of Patti Smith shows that were just amazing, just fucking great. So.
That's incredible. The I'll tell you another old guest story is I'm blown away. Nancy Burrill is this woman. She's now a teacher in Boston. But she wrote a book about growing up and living in Philadelphia in the early 80s punk and hardcore scene. And it's this amazing book. And she's always loved music. But one of her things is I don't think it was her first concert, but one of her very first early concerts, she went to a Patti Smith show, and they were like up front, and they saw this really weird, like old couple in the audience, and they started talking to them, and it turns out it was Patti Smith's mom. And then she ended up becoming pen pals with Patti Smith's mom, who would like send her like photos of Patti on tour and stuff like that, which is just the coolest thing in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. But she wrote this book. I think it's called like, I'm Not Going to Hold Your Coat. and it's absolutely phenomenal. It's about the Philly hardcore scene. If you're into music, Philly music history, check that one out. Number 6, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have? They can be living or dead.
Fiona Apple.
You haven't seen Fiona Apple with as
Never.
obsessed? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, well, she hasn't toured in a while. But yeah, I also didn't go to a lot of shows in my life until like pretty recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that I often like when she used to kind of have residency at Largo, like that was like kind of my like dream of like her and John Bryan and like just
Yeah.
kind of like that whole scene that and all the alt comedy that used to go on there. That's like one of those like I feel like someday someone's gonna make a movie about that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Can we still have that? Can Philly have one of those? We need that.
People are probably sick of me saying this, but I really feel like we're on the cusp of something kind of similar. Like I really do believe that this community right now is just prime for something like that. It just there's like little things that it needs. Like I feel like it needs a really good boutique record label, and it needs like a really good press. And like and this is no slight to them whatsoever because they're kind of putting it all up on their shoulders and doing it themselves. But like John Batiste and the Key and everybody over at WXPN is kind of like all we have right now. And I feel like someone needs to help them. And I'm trying, but just not as successful. But yes, I believe in this scene, and I think we could very well have something similar if we just and a venue. We need this was the other thing I was talking to somebody about recently. We need a venue like Ardmore in Philly, so like that kind of mid-size independent room in the basement. Underground Arts is close, but it's a little too small and a little too tight. I need I need like in between like Union Transfer and the Foundry, but like an indie, like the Foundry would be perfect if it were an indie venue. But that just might just be my hipsterness kind of sneaking through saying corporations.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll get there. Sam, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have?
I'm gonna have to go with Prince, so it's not gonna happen. Although I hear you can go out to Paisley Park and have a fantastic time, so I need to do that. But yeah.
That's on my wish list is making it out there because like same thing. I've heard just incredible things about like even shows that they're still putting on there, even after he's gone, like that are just absolutely incredible to witness like a performance there. Yeah, that dude was something else. the great way to put it, I guess. Number 7, name an unappreciated Jawn, something you wish had some more shine to it.
Thought about this one pretty hard, and I think I can still say Cara Cara, or I guess they say it Cara Cara because they're like from around here and not Spanish speakers. But I think they're still small enough I can say that.
That's 100%.
Yeah.
That's a perfect answer. I love it. Sam, what do you got?
I guess I'm going to go with Mdu Mokhtar because he's killing it, and maybe he's big enough already. I don't know, but yeah, I'll stick with that one.
Great answer. Great answer. Number 8, and I understand the challenges of this. It's a tough one. What's your favorite album?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because, like, you have different albums for different, like, times, But I feel like, I don't know, I'm going with recency bias a little bit here again. But, like, The Smile, I feel like I can play The Smile for just about any time, any purpose. Like, if I have guests over, I can put that on, like, whatever. It's always just good.
Yeah, I I really dug the first album, but the second one, the Wall of Eyes, just absolutely consumed me this year when that came out. Like I was absolutely obsessed with that. The very first time I listened to it, I was driving home down Kelly Drive, and there was a fog kind of over the Schuylkill. As I was listening to that album, and I just like felt like I was in a moment. Like it was really weird. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a recording. I'm not supposed to be having a moment to the recording, but yeah, love that. I love that. Good answer. Sam, favorite album?
This is going to feel a little mainstream, but think Wildflowers by Tom Petty. Like, just, it came along at a moment in my life when, like, that was exactly what I needed. Whatever it was, just the quality of songwriting and, like, the way that he just makes it all fit together.
Yeah, and like that kind of Rick Rubin approach of just kind of like showcasing the songwriter themselves and what and recognizing what's great in somebody without like kind of putting bells and whistles on it. Like, yeah, that's an absolutely great answer. I love that album. Number 9, name an artist whose output you'll consume anything they release.
I mean, like, it's gonna be Fiona Apple, right?
I knew it.
Like,
I knew it was coming.
because the Smile has already put out like at least one song where I'm like, but like Fiona will do weird shit and like I will listen to anything. Like even all the stupid videos she makes for no, they're not stupid, but like some of them I'm like, okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Now, does this are we just saying music on this, or her court reporting? Does that also?
Oh, the
fit
court
in?
reporting is really important. I think I'm thinking more of like I don't know, whatever, like weekly little.
Oh,
like,
the I
her
got it.
dog like jumping on.
Yes,
I don't know.
I got you.
Like
Okay.
you always have to watch it though because you just never know with her, right? Like, and it's always authentic, and that's what makes it beautiful.
Yeah,
Which I think you could also say about the Smile, but yeah, they go in a lot of different directions, and sometimes I don't follow them all the way there.
yeah, I get it. I still have. I'm an enormous Fiona Apple fan, but I still have one small, tiny grudge that I hold, and that is I prefer the John Bryan production on Extraordinary Machine to over the Mike Elizondo. And the fact that like there's never been an actual full release of the release the John Bryan tapes. That's what
Yeah, no, I think there are a lot of other people interested in that too.
It's so good. It's so good. Sam, artist whose output you'll consume anything they release.
I feel like I should change it up. I mean, this isn't fair because I think, as far as I know, they've only put out one album, and this is going to make Autumn roll her eyes. But whenever Wet Leg puts something out, I'm going to go listen to it.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Sam's
Like,
a big Wet Leg fan.
Yeah. Can you remember anything that has been more polarizing than Chaise Long? Like, I can't think of, and I don't understand why. Like, I
I
understand.
didn't even know that. Really?
Yeah, like one of the main complaints on WXPN when they were like that song was a big like people like just revolted against it, and I like have friends who are like who were like these like going to extreme lengths shitting on it, and then like I forget what the second single was that came out, but then they were like, oh, these guys are kind of good, and I was like, yeah, I've been telling you, I don't know why you don't like that song, like it's so weird to me, but yeah, a very polarizing song, and I don't understand it.
I guess that just means you're boundary pushing, right? It's good to
Exactly.
lead with something like that.
People are
Exactly.
afraid of women who are funny. That's my theory that I just came up with.
I'm you're not far off. Like I really think that that's part of it. Like and just musicians in general. Like I was talking to somebody about this, but like you look at a band like The Darkness, who like are huge everywhere, but like never like other than the lead single off of the Permission to Land. Never really like blew up over here, and I think it's the same thing. Like I think it's just that like we kind of want our rockers to be serious, which is weird, because like I like laughing, like it's you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I think someone said to me once that we don't like people who are in on the joke, and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, but I don't know why that is. It's food for thought. Number 10, what is your favorite Jawn of all time? Can be anything you want it to be.
I'm just staying quiet because I feel like I can't repeat answers anymore.
Do it.
I'm getting lazy
You
about
can do
this.
it. And I'll go in a completely different direction.
There
I
are
can't
no
not
wrong
say
answers.
Fiona Apple. Like no matter how you measure it, like I just, yeah, There's nobody whose discography I know every note of and every word of, like, more than that. And who I feel like as a person, like, sorry, I keep hitting my mic. As a person, I'm like, I literally, as a songwriter, as an artist, as a human being, ask myself on a regular basis, like, what would Fiona Apple do? Like, literally, just kind of like, I admire how you live life. And like, yes, let's all just great standard.
That's awesome.
Jawn.
And I don't want you to ever apologize for that, because that's like, it's not like you pick something silly. Like that's amazing and that's incredible and that's something to have. The tagline of this show is "Displace the guilt, embrace the pleasure," because we are a place, a safe space for liking the things that you like, no matter how the rest of the world may make you feel. You enjoy the things you like.
Beautiful. I feel like Fiona would approve of that.
I love it. Sam, favorite Jawn of all time?
2004 Detroit Pistons.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
I love it. That's awesome. That is incredible. So, Fragments is out now. What you played the show in the past? Are there any other shows lined up?
I have not announced any further shows as of this moment.
Okay. I can dig that.
But I do have an email sign up on my website and social media links if anybody wants to make sure they find out when the time comes. Absolutely.
Tell these cool cats and kittens the best way to track you down.
autumnluz.com. It's autumn like the season, loose like the Spanish name, LUZ.com, and everything's right there.
Guys, Autumn, Sam, thank you so much for doing this, and not just doing this, wasting your time talking to dumb old me, but also for creating just brilliant music. And I'm super excited to see what you guys have cooking up next. And the idea of a concept album absolutely it tickles the music nerd in my head. So I am excited to hear what you guys got coming next.
Thank you so much, Nate. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
My thanks again to Autumn and Sam for joining me on the show today. Autumn's latest release, Fragments, is available now on all streaming platforms and is available to purchase on CD from her Bandcamp page at autumnluz.bandcamp.com. And you can find more info about Autumn on her website at www.autumnluz.com. That's autumn like the season, LUZ.com. Links to all of those are, of course, as always, in the show notes. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And y'all, it is never too late to get yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for Citizenship of the World just by rating and reviewing us. Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for the link tree with links to articles, merchandise, all of the previous episodes of this podcast, guest appearances on other podcasts, and more. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for our mailing list to get all of the updates delivered straight into your inbox. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YoThat'sMyJawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter X at Yo That's My Jawn, and search Yo That's My Jawn on YouTube to find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel. Like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out, and touch some Jawn. Good times. I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I thank you all for giving it a listen. Blue skies. Until next time, everybody. That's my Jawn. Displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. You taste things that don't need to be measured. Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production. Written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by me, under the moniker Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Maggie Poulos, Dan Drago, Natalie Runkle, and the beautifully vibrant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com or hit us up on the socials at yothat'smyjawn. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Tilt your head back and shout to the world, yo, that's my Jawn.